Very good day to you all, and welcome you all to the session number 4, coming under the research methodology course unit. So today we are going to discuss another important aspect in your research knowledge, and under the research methodology, we first discuss about the research framework. So normally we all know that the framework means some kind of plan where we lead, where we drive with our expected result. So if we have a proper plan in our mind, right, we know what we need to do exactly in the next step. So we know what is our first step, then we know what is our second step, and we already know if we are going with the some kind of a deviation with our expectation or with our desired plan. So then we know what are the actions we can do with the research study. So in your management knowledge, you learn about the planning, right? So under the planning, what you actually discuss? So you prepare some proper method, or you prepare some proper steps, actions to follow your own goals or your desired objectives, right? Why we need a plan? Because if we have a plan, we know we going with the activities, or we going with the time schedule as we decide initially. So if there are some deviation, or if there are some misleading in our action plan, then we know what we need to do in order to make us back to the track. Okay, so that is based on your management knowledge, right? So that the same planning knowledge we need in our research methodology course with the different titles, right? First, under the research methodology, we discuss about our research framework, right? Then we discuss about our research approaches, right? Under the research approaches, we discuss about where we going to collect data and how we are going to collect data, right? How we going to measure our data. Those things we discuss in our latter part. But today, under the first part of the methodology, we are going to construct, or we are going to develop the research framework, right? As I mentioned you earlier, framework means our initial plan, right? Now, if I taking you back to our previous sessions, I'm taking few minutes to get you back to our track, right? What we discussed previous sessions, actually in our session number 1 and 2, we make so much of contribution or commitment to identify your research problem, right? So that's the main component on your research proposal, as well as your final year research study, right? We know the research means searching knowledge. So we search knowledge based on the problem arise, right? Then we need to identify the problem properly, right? So problem we can identify through different gaps, right? We know the problem is a gap between the desired level and our actual level, right? So if we discuss about the gaps mean we can identify knowledge gap, we can identify theoretical gap, and there are empirical gaps as well as methodological gaps and implication gaps, right? I ask you to go with some kind of methodological gaps and implications gap specifically, and some kind of knowledge gap also, right? Because majority of the students are focusing on empirical gaps. That's not bad, but if you can go beyond that, if you can think out of box, like implication gaps, methodological gaps, as well as the knowledge gaps specifically, right? Those are very important for your research problem, right? It shows us you are creative in identifying the issues, right? So that's a very important concept, right? So then you are in a comfortable zone with your research problem. Now you know what you are going to do right? Now, for an example, if I take our discussing example, that is environmental citizenship behavior and the personality traits, right? So under that, we discuss about, now we are having some issues with the environmental degradation, or our natural resources getting declining day by day, right? We are making so much of harmful things to the environment, right, as a citizen. Therefore, every citizen has a responsibility to protect the environment, right? So that is the main idea behind environmental citizenship behavior. When we consider about the citizenship behavior or environmental citizenship behavior, it come along with individual behavior. Okay, so if you talk about the individual behavior, people behave based on their personality characteristics, right? Some persons are very forward looking, and some persons are very backward looking, right? Those are their different characteristics, right? අපි දන්න පුද්ගලයෙක් එකින් එකට වෙනස්, right? ඒ අනුව පුද්ගලයා හැසිරෙන විදිය වෙනස්, characteristic අනුව ඒගොල්ලෝගේ behavior එක වෙනස්. So then I raise a issue, or I raise a gaps in the literature. Some of the literature identified that personality traits have influence on personal behavior, right? Personal behavior. But how people environmental citizenship behavior associate with the personality, individual's personal behavior, that means personality traits, are still lacking. And the studies which are already conducted with personality traits and environmental citizenship behavior, specifically in the developed context, right? And the other cultural differences, like our developing countries like us, where religion has made a high influence to the personal behavior, and social norms and other factors are highly influenced to our individual behavior. So how people are environmentally responsible behave with those kind of characteristics are still lacking. So then I raise that knowledge gap. And identify as my main purpose, or the study's main purpose, as to identify the relationship with personality traits and environmental citizenship behavior. Okay, now I just structure my problem. Now that is my problem, and how personality traits going to be influenced to the environmental citizenship behavior. So I specifically focus on the undergraduate in our university system. Okay, so I give the rationale for selecting undergraduate, so you can see it through my sample proposal when I uploaded into the LMS. Now, problem is okay to me now. Now, the second thing we discuss under section number 3, that is literature review. So we discuss about what is literature. We discuss about how to search literature, what are the relevant sources of literature, right? And in the practical session also, we spend considerable time with you to show you how to search literature, right? Now you have so many materials with you, maybe journal articles, maybe conference proceedings, textbooks, newspaper articles, Facebook blogs, whatever you have, right? Now, after collecting all the reading materials or relevant materials through different sources like Google Scholar or some website portal like Emerald and Science Direct and JSTOR, okay, we discuss all the things, right? We show you how to search the things in the proper way, right? Using Operation Booleans, right? So now you have the things. Then in the literature review, we also discuss how to read the article critically and how to analyze the article critically. So you always read the things with the things in your mind, that with the idea in your mind, how this article raised the gap to me, how this article going to be relevant with my desired research problem, right? Or what are the new things that I can grab through this article or through this document. Always read the document with that intention. Okay. So then we teach you how to structure the literature review. How to structure. So in that way, I'm specifically emphasized to you, you need to first focus on the theoretical foundation of your research problem, right? So in my example, the personality trait, that means big 5 personality trait model is my theoretical structure, because I'm using that theoretical model to emphasize or to see how the personality trait is going to be influenced the environmental citizenship behavior, right? That's why I'm always telling undergraduates, if you are searching the research problem and when you are reading the literature in a critical way, always search some relevant theory behind your problem, right? If you're dealing with the motivation related problem, go with the motivation related theory, right? If you're going with the leadership related problem, go with the leadership theory. There are so many theories, transformation theory and new transformation theory. Likewise, there are so many theories, right? And if you are go with some kind of organizational performance and something, you can go with the resource-based theory and dynamic capability theory, or combination with resource and dynamic capability like dynamic resource-based theory. Okay, so this is why I'm asking you to prepare that literature review summary table. So when you are preparing the literature review summary table, I ask you to specifically focus on the theoretical aspect of that article or of that publication. Then once you read 10 to 20 articles, then you come across that this is the common theory that most of the studies used. Then you can justify that if those studies are using it, I'm also referring this as my theoretical foundation, right? So this is the way you need to construct your literature review. And also, once you read with the literature review more, you come across with different concepts, right? You identify different concepts. Now, for an example, when I am referring my example, the environmental citizenship behavior, I identified 3 different levels coming under environmental citizenship behavior, right? It says eco-initiatives and eco-engagement and eco-planning and something so on, right? So I identify those new concepts. Right? Likewise, you can identify based on your research problem the new factors, new variables. We discuss about the variables later, right? New factors. For a moment, we consider them as factors, right? So then those things are very important for you to structure your study, right? Now, for an example, in my case, I'm referring the environmental citizenship behavior, how people behave environmentally responsible, and what factors influence them to behave environmentally responsible person, right? So in order to identify the factors, I'll go with the theory called Big 5 personality traits model, right? If I'm not going with that model, I need to identify the several factors. Right? So how I'm going to identify those factors? So based on your literature review, because previous studies already identified 10,000 factors, maybe more than that. Right? Now, for an example, if I'm not going to with Big 5 personality trait model with my research problem, so I can identify at least 10 to 15 factors that are going to be influenced to the environmental citizenship behavior. But if we have some kind of theoretical foundation like the Big 5 personality trait model, our journey becomes so easy, right? Because the theory explains most important factors in integrated manner. Right? So theory එක හැම වෙලේම මේක explain වෙනවා මොන වගේ factors the theory එක ඇතුලේ තියෙන්නේ මොන වගේ concept theory එකෙන් අපි identify කරගෙන තියෙන්නේ. Right? Now for an example, if you consider about motivational theory, right? It's identify that if we satisfy 5 basic things of the people are getting motivated. Right? So those 5 basic needs we identify as factors. Right? Likewise, then you need to identify several factors if you are not going along with the theory itself. Okay. On the other way around, if you go with the theory, but you can incorporate some new factors into the theory. Right now, for an example, I'm referring big five model. There are 5 basic personal characteristics like extraversion, openness to experience, right? Consciousness. So, but instead of going those 5 factors only, based on my critically reviewed literature, then again I identify some other factors also. Right? For an example, we can say social norms, right? Peer influence, right? And what we call some kind of family influence, right? Or education, right? And the family practices, right? Those might be the factors identified by other articles, other publications, other scholars, right? Then along with the big 5 model, that means 5 factors, I incorporate another 3, right? Then altogether, how many factors I have? Now I have 8 factors. Okay. What I'm actually do is I refer the theory also, and I'm again refer some other factors identified by the literature instead of that theoretical factors, right? Then I combine those 5 factors with that 3 factor. Now altogether I have 8 factors. Right? So this is why the literature review is very important to you. Right? I told you we are doing research. Right? We search in something repetitively. Right? And then we try to apply that knowledge into our research problem. Right? So then today, what we actually going to do is we try to identify those important factors, like what I did with big 5 personal trait with 5 and another additional 3 factors, right? That is my example, okay? So then likewise, in today's session, we are going to construct our main framework, okay? So in order to follow this session number 4, in our research framework discussion, you have to refer the chapter 5 in your recommended textbook. So it is compulsory for you to refer that chapter 5. Okay, don't deny, don't rely, depend on only the slide sets, only these video clips. It is your responsibility to read the recommended chapters and enhance your understandable level. Right. Okay. Let's move with the learning outcomes. Right. Whatever I discussed up so far is based on what we discussed earlier. Right. I need you to take your mindset for the today's session with the braiding of the previous sessions. Right. With the recalling of the previous session. Right? Now you know your research problem, and based on the literature, you have several ideas in your mind. This might be the factors that are going to be important to my problem. Right? And this is the theory that's going to be very important to my problem. And I'm going to apply it to here. Right? Now we are going to construct those ideas in a proper structure. right අපි අර කියන්නේ ඔක්කොම දැන් ටික තියෙනවා අපි අර ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නවා ජිප්ස පසල් එකක් අදිනකොට තියෙන්නේ අය ඔක්කොම කෑලි ටික තියෙනවා හැබැයි කෑලි එහෙම විසිරිලා දැන් තියෙන්නේ දැන් මේක අපි ගේන්න ඕනේ එක පිච් එකකට right ඒ ටික හරියට එකතු කරොත් නේ පිච් එක හැදෙන්නේ ජිප්ස එක හැදෙන්නේ දැන් අපි මේ ජිප්ස එක අපි මේ දැන් අර පසල් එක විසඳන්න හදන්නේ ඒ විසඳන්න අපි අදිනවා චිත්‍රයක් framework mean the picture right so that picture is very important for your study. Right. So at the end of this session, you are going to be able to discuss the theoretical and conceptual framework difference. Right. That is two different things. Right. As I mentioned earlier, the big 5 personality model is a theoretical foundation. Right. Based on the theory, if you are going to develop your factors, then you are constructing conceptual framework. right? We will discuss it later. Then we are going to identify the relevant variables in your research. Still, I'm referring the term called factors. I'm referring the factors. But in our research, we discuss about the concepts, we discuss about the variables, we discuss about the dimensions. Those are the terminologies we are using in research. But a simple term we can use is the factors, right? But the students who are following research, you need to know about what are those constructs, what are the meaning of variables, what are the meaning of dimensions, so on, right? So at the end of the session, we are going to develop the hypothesis, right? I told you at the 1 or 2 session, the hypothesis means some kind of tentative statements, right? So for an example, if you can say, you might be asked a question, how about today's weather? So then someone can raise a statement, today there might be raining, right? So that is a statement. That is a tentative statement. Why we call tentative? Because it's not actually happened yet. Right? But in a research, we can make sure that whether our tentative statement is true or false. Right? That's a tentative statement. Wasn't the weather report going to be correct? If there is no rain, then everyone going to blame the weather report. Right? හැමෝම බයිනට පස්සේ මේ කාලගුණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවට. මේක හැමදාම කියන්නේ බොරු කියලා. Those are the tentative statement. That's why we call the hypothesis as tentative statement. It might be correct or it might be wrong. Right? It depends on how we collect data. How we collect data. Right? So these are the things we are going to discuss in our today's session. Right. Let's moving on the research framework. Actually, what do you mean by research framework? So normally, what do you mean by framework? Mama, research එක අපි පැත්තකින් තියමුකෝ. මොකක්ද framework එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ? And if you look at the picture, right? If you look at the picture, you see normally we are having framework. අපි දැන් පින්තූරයක් දිහා බලනකොට ඔයගලන්ට පේනවා framework එකක්. Right? If you look at the behind of this my screen, and if you look at the wall, there is a picture hanging on, right? That picture also there is a framework, right? You can see the black framework. Right? What that framework indicates to you, right? දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ මගේ මේ පිටපස්සේ තියෙන framework එක දිහා බැලුවොත් ඔයගලන්ට පේන picture එක දිහා බැලුවොත් ඔයගලන්ට පේන එක framework එකක් තියෙනවා, right? කළු පාට. Right? Don't worry about the picture. What is it on? Right? Look at the framework. So if you look at that framework, what you can see? If framework එකත් එක්ක බලනකොට මොකද්ද හිතෙන්නේ? What you feel? Your focus is going to that middle of the thing. දැන් අපි framework එකක් එක්ක දෙයක් දිහා බලනකොට අර ලස්සනට ඒක වැද තියෙන පින්තූරේ පේනවා. Your focus is going to the middle. That means inside of the framework. If there is no framework in that picture, your eyes are going here and there. The framework එක නැති වුනහම ඇස් යනවා හැමතැනම. Okay? This is the importance of having framework. Right? දැන් මම කියපේක මම හිතනවා පැහැදිලි කියලා. පින්තූරයක අපි framework එකක් ගහන්නේ ඒ පින්තූරේ emphasize කරන්න පුළුවන් තරම්. Right? අයියේ ඒතකොට ඒ framework එකෙන් පිට අපි පින්තූරය දිහා බලන්නේ නැහැ. හැබැයි framework එකක් නැතුව මෙතන විත්තිය පින්තූරයක් තිබ්බනම් ඕගොල්ලෝ විත්තියක් බලනවා පින්තූරයක් බලනවා. Right? Your attention going for a wall as well as the picture. Then the main intention of having that picture, it's not getting come across. Right? It's not getting achieved. This is why research need to have a framework. Now, I told you that in the literature, we find so many factors. You might be having theory, you might be having some other factors. We call that factors as empirical finding factors. Right? So, එක researchers එක context වල කරපු research අරගෙන ඒගොල්ලෝ එක findings දෙනවා. ඒ findings ඇතුලේ තියෙන එක factors ඕගොල්ලෝගේ problem එකට අදාළ වෙනවා. right? Like what I discussed about factors influencing environmental citizenship behavior. I have five big five personality traits or characteristics, and there may be several 150 factors instead of that 5 factors, right? Can I study all that 150 or 155 factors? So මට පුළුවන් අර මුලින් හඳුනාගත්ත තියරි එකේ තියෙන ෆැක්ටර්ස් පහයි අර ඇඩිෂනලි අනිත් අඳුරාගෙන තියෙන ෆැක්ටර්ස් 150ක් විතරයි ස්ටඩි කරන්න. No, you can't. Right? It's not possible. It can, but it's not possible. Right? It's not practical. Right? So the thing is, then you need to narrow down your research area into some particular framework. එකයි මම කිව්වේ පින්තූරේ නැත්තම් ෆ්‍රේම්වර්ක් එක ඔයගොල්ලෝ පින්තූරෙත් එක්ක වටේ තියෙන ඔක්කොම බලනවා. හැබැයි පින්තූරේ ෆ්‍රේම්වර්ක් එකක් ඇතුලේ තියෙනවා නම් බලන්නේ පින්තූරේ විතරයි. ඇයි ෆ්‍රේම්වර්ක් එකෙන් ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ view එක limit කරනවා. So this is what we call the framework. So framework mean it's going to be limit your problem into specific or your research into specific area. Right? So based on your problem, you have to construct your framework. Right? So framework is a blueprint of your research and it guides you how to conduct the study. Right? It guides you. Okay? So it's very important in that way. So then the framework provides an explicit explanation why the problem under study exists by showing how relevant factors, or in here we call variables, related to your identified problem. Right? So in the framework, actually what we are going to do is we are going to set the variables that are going to be important to your research problem. Right? So framework, there are two types of framework, very common two types of framework we call theoretical framework and the conceptual framework. Right? So there is no so much differences, but when we are explaining in the theory base as well as empirical base, we use these two different terms. Right? However, if you are using the theoretical framework or conceptual framework, both of them are explaining why the study is related and how those identify factors related with your research problem. That's the thing we are doing with the research framework. Okay? Right. So then let's see what we call this theoretical framework and what we call this conceptual framework. Right? So theoretical framework in the sense, actually, we know what is theory. Right now you are management student, undergraduates, you know what is a theory. Normally theory is a set of statements, right, which emphasize about the relationship among different concepts, different factors, different variables. So, right now, for an example, let's see our easiest one, the demand theory. That is a theory based on the demand, the quantity demand. What it says? So it says the quantity theory, the theory of demand. It says what influence the people to decide the quantity they are going to demand. Right? It says about when the price goes up, the people's demand quantity going to be declined. Right? When the price goes down, the demand for the quantity goes up. Right? So we see the price and quantity demand has the negative relationship. අපි දකිනවා එතකොට price එකයි quantity demand එකයි අතර තියෙන negative relationship එක. So this is what we call theory. So it gives the statement. What is the statement? It says that there is a negative relationship between the quantity demand and the price of that particular product. And it also says some assumption, right? So theory, remember, the theory built with some practical or some considerable assumptions. So demand theory, what are the assumptions? When all other factors remain constant, when the price of the good increase, the quantity demand declines. You see, though, that is a very simple theory I can explain to you. And what is a motivation theory? So motivation theory says people are getting motivated if those 5 needs are satisfied. Right? So this is what we call the theory. Right? Then if someone asks you about what influence the demand of mobile phones, what factors influence the demand of mobile phones? So that is your question, right? So there may be some issues in the market. The quantity demand of mobile phone getting declines, right? Even it is important these days, but the quantity demand of mobile phone now getting declined. Now, as a student, you want to make sure that why quantity demand of mobile phone getting declined these days, right? Then what is the theoretical base you can follow? So you can easily follow the demand theory. So what demand theory says? When other factors remain constant or remain same, remain fixed, when the price goes up, it will influence negatively to the quantity demand. So based on the demand theory, you can identify what factors going to be influenced to the demand of mobile phones. Right? When you say about what factors going to be influenced the demand of mobile phone, are you going to consider about only the price? No, why? Because the theory says there are some assumptions. So then you can also make that assumption into the practice and see what will happen when the income of the people, what will happen when the income of the people, what will happen to the substitute products like laptops and computers or tabs, right? And likewise, you can see several factors based on the theory, right? Not only the theory, then you search the literature about the demand for mobile phones, right? Or consumer preference on the mobile phones, right? Then you identify another factors like the peer influence, right? The technological knowledge, right? Okay, and the social impression. Likewise, there are maybe factors that are going to be influenced to the demand of mobile phones of the people. Right? Then you combine theory with that empirical findings. We call them so-called empirical findings, like the peer influence, technological knowledge, and the prestigious, right? And then the social expression, right? Likewise, we identify several factors. Okay, so then we combine those things into the framework, right? Actually, what we discussed so far is a theoretical one, right? So theory means that set of statements, right? So it structured you or it guides you, right? If you have some formal theory like demand theory, motivation theory, leadership theory, so it guides you to structure your framework or structure your factors in a proper manner. Right? So then theoretical framework involves the identification of network of relationship among variables considered important to your study. Right? So in my example, the environmental citizenship behavior, right? What factors I am focusing on? I am focusing on the factors relevant with Big 5 personality trait model. Then I have 5 factors, right? I have 5 factors, right? Then the theory as well as the literature explain there may be a positive relationship with one factors to the environmental citizenship behavior, and sometimes there are negative relationships, right? Then we know already what sort of relationship or what sort of networks having with those identified factors with my problem area, that is environmental citizenship behavior. Okay, so this is why the theoretical framework important to our study. Okay, so I believe that you get the knowledge about why theoretical framework is important. This is why we always emphasize students, please follow some base theory, right? So don't depend on one theory, right? If you have 2-3 theories, right, then critically review what theory is going to use most commonly, right? Either you can go with the common theory used, or you can go with some kind of non-common theories used in the prior studies. That also give contribution. Right? That's why I told you in research you need to think critically. Right? Then theory also help you to define the key factors in your research problem. Right? So if I'm using the Big 5 personality trait model, so that theory define what are those 5 factors. Right? What do you mean by openness to experience? What do you mean by the consciousness? Right? So these are the importance of having theory in your research problem. Right? And as I discussed, the research helps you to establish the relationship. Now, the theory explained that there is a negative relationship between price and the quantity demand. Right? Then you can again find out that whether those relationship is okay with our mobile phone demand. Right? And please don't believe that theory is always going to be correct in our context. දැන් සමහර අය හිතන් ඉන්න තියරි එකේ තියෙන නෙගටිව් රිලේෂන්ෂිප් එකක් නෝ අපේ ස්ටඩි එකෙත් තියෙන නෙගටිව් රිලේෂන්ෂිප් එකක් නේ කියලා. No, that's why we are doing research. Right? If you find with some kind of positive relationship, so then it contribute to the knowledge. Right? Now, for an example, in environmental citizenship behavior with the personality trait, for an example, it says openness to experience, right? It says there is a positive relationship between openness to experience and environmental citizenship behavior. That's the theory suggests as well as the prior studies suggest. When I am conducting my study in our Sri Lankan context or developing context, then we identify that we are having negative relationship. Right? So now student getting frustrated. Now student getting panic. They feel that, oh my goodness, the theory and the prior studies say there is a positive relationship. Oh, whatever I got negative relationship. Am I wrong? Have I done something wrong? No, you are 100% correct, and you have done everything in a perfect manner. Right? If you follow that systematic process. Okay, but remember, theory it will change. Everything in this world going to be changed, right? So theory cannot remain as constant for forever. Right? Now, if you are getting negative relationship, now you contribute knowledge with the negative relationship. Right? Then you put some new thing into the theory. Right? That's why we call this is research. Therefore, we construct the framework with the theory, but we are going to implement it. We might get the different results, or we might get the controversial result with the theory. Right? Therefore, don't get panic. Never get panic, because those are the contribution you are getting. Then you can say, though literature say there are positive relationships between openness to experience and environmental citizenship behavior, in our developing context or the culturally inherited context like Sri Lanka, we are getting negative relationship. Right? So then you can get some justification why we are having that negative relationship. Right? We will discuss it later. But that's the thing. That is why theory is important to do. So you can argue, you can build the argument of the theoretical relationship also. Right? In order to build that argument, first of all, we need to lay a base. Base එක දාගෙන ඉන්න ඕන. ඒතකොට මේ බේස් එක මොකද්ද? බේස් එක තමයි අපිට එන්නේ theoretical framework එකකින්. ඒතකොට අපි බේස් එකේ අපි ඔළුවේ තියෙන්නේ there is a positive relationship. between openness to experience and environmental citizenship behavior. There is a negative relationship between quantity of demand and the price of the goods. That is the framework. Okay, so this is we call theoretical framework, right? Okay, so moving on, these are the basic features, right? I think we have already discussed those things, right? So it considered about the variables, right? What we so-called factors earlier, right? So in a theory, we identify variables, right? In a demand theory, we have quantity demand as one variable. We have a price of the good as another variable, right? So after this point, we consider about the variables, not the factors anymore, right? So theory let you know what are the important variables in your study. Like in my one, my importance, I have first 5 important variables that is coming from Big 5 personality traits model, right? And my question is about environmental citizenship behavior. That is also my variable, right? And the theory help us to define those variables, right? Not only the definition, it shows, the theory shows us this is the relationship between 2 variables, right? So in my case, I said there is a positive relationship between openness to experience and environmental citizenship behavior. So it's established based on theory, right? And it says there is a negative relationship between the quantity of demand and the price of the product. It's established based on the demand theory. Right? So the second basic feature of the theoretical framework is it shows you what are the relationships established among variables. Right? Not only that, this third factor is also important. This third feature is also important. What is it says? There should be a clear explanation of why we expect this relationship to exist. Theory එකේ නිකන් කියන්නේ quantity demand එකයි price of the good අතර negative relationship එකක් තියෙනවා, right? Then it explain the question why it is. එහෙම තියෙන්නේ ඇයි කියන එකටත් theory එකෙන් උත්තරයක් දෙනවා, right? Now you know the quantity demand, right? So why there is a negative relationship between quantity demand and the price of the product, right? We know there are 2 reasons, right? Income substitutions and income effect and substitutional effects, right? Because of that, we are having that negative relationship, right? So likewise, the Big 5 personality trait model explain why there is a positive relationship between openness to experience with environmental citizenship behavior, right? And motivational theory explain why people are getting satisfied or motivated when 5 basic needs are going to be fulfilled. The motivation theory එකෙන් අපිට පෙන්නනවා ඇයි මිනිස්සු motivate වෙන්නේ මේ basic needs fulfill වුණාම, right? So therefore theory is going to be very much important for you in the 3 aspects. What are the 3? First, it identified and defined the relevant variables to your problem, right? And it clearly say what is the established relationship among variables or between variables, right? Not only that, it clearly emphasized why those established relationships exist, right? Why those relationships are existent. Right? This is why theoretical framework is important to you. Okay, so I believe that you are having very comprehensive knowledge regarding the theoretical framework, right? So in the next session, this part 2 of the session, we will discuss about the conceptual framework or conceptual model.